Hello there from PortAventura in Salou, Spain. I'm Scott and this is the first ever time I'm doing a vlog on my own, so not sure how this is going to go, but I'm going to give it a go. See, I absolutely love coming to PortAventura, and the timing of this trip meant that only I could come in terms of Pleasure Beach Experience vloggers. So here I am in a place that I'm very familiar with, very comfortable filming at, so I'm hoping that this vlog will be a good one and an enjoyable one and an informative one. So it's April 2022 and I'm going to get this in early. It cost me €66 for 2 days in the main PortAventura park and 1 day in Ferrari Land. I've also paid an additional €45 for Fastpass for 1 day only. That gets me one shot on 10 attractions, and I paid a little bit extra for a go on street mission as well, which I think was an additional €7. Now the reason I've got Fastpass is because the queue times here can either be really quick and really quiet or really busy and really slow, and with only having one full day at the park, I was here yesterday too but only for 5 hours, but only having that time and today I just thought, you know what, maximise the time, make the most of the time I've got here and try and do a vlog as well. So to do a vlog and to not have Fastpass would have been probably impossible in this park. So what I am looking forward to today is rides like Furius Baco, which is behind me, rides like Dragon Con, see if it's any better than it was last year and the years before it. Shambhalas, it's always a pleasure to get on that. And one thing I did forget to mention about the Fastpass too, it sounds like Furius Baco's already open. That has to be a first actually, a ride opening before it's due to open at PortAventura. That's not a bad thing. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come today. Shambhala is always great at the front row, and it's always good at the back row as well, which is why on the Fastpass I paid the extra €5 to guarantee front row on Shambhala, Dragon Con, Furius Baco. Of course Stampida's here too, which is, I think it's been retracked, you know. When I was looking at it yesterday and getting some shots of it, it looks like some of it's been retracked again, so we'll see how that's riding compared to last year. But also there's going to be a bit of show footage, and I'm just going to do a bit of a general walk around the park, talk about certain things. I'm not going to go on every ride, there's probably some water rides here that I'm not going to go on. But all in all, I hope you find this vlog enjoyable. Please go easy on me in the comments, because like I say, this is the first time I've ever done this on my own. A lot of it at times may go behind the camera where I've got a ride in shot and I'm talking about it. That might just be because nerves or anxiety's got the better of me. I'm not the most confident person, especially when I'm on my own. But like I say, give it my best shot and hope you enjoy this, and hopefully it will be informative. Something that's worth knowing for when you do come to PortAventura is not all of the rides open when the park opens. So the park opened at 10. However, the only roller coasters open so far are Dragon Con and Furius Baco. Everything else is staggered between 10:30 and 12 o'clock. So something worth knowing if you do come to the park. If I didn't have Fastpass today, I wouldn't be doing this, but because I do, it's Furius Baco first. The reason I say I wouldn't do this normally first is because you can see in the top right corner of the frame, this gets a massive queue from the off because it's right next to the park entrance, so everybody comes to it first. So it's something that I don't advise doing if you don't have Fastpass. Don't come to this first. Head towards the back of the park, do Dragon Con early and wait for Shambhala to open. But if you do have Fastpass, then just do it in any old order. But if you don't do Furius Baco first, honestly, because you'll regret it. You'll be waiting probably 2 hours from the off. So if you get Fastpass, probably do Furius Baco first. If you don't get Fastpass, avoid Furius Baco until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I've taken my first go on Furius Baco, front row. Very much enjoyed it. It's always great at the front. I know Furius Baco does get a lot of hate from roller coaster enthusiasts because of its vibrations, and especially on the outside seats. And of course, the further back on the train you get, the more uncomfortable and unpleasant as a ride it does get. But front row, it's always really enjoyable, and it certainly wakes you up on that front row, especially when it's first ride of the day. A little bit of history about Furius Baco. Opened here in 2007. It's the only Intamin wing rider launch coaster of its type. Quick note on the operations of Furius Baco. It is on 2 trains. However, unfortunately, probably more so for the staff than anyone else, there is only 2 staff on the platform, which means that they're having to do the queue line batching, deal with Fastpass, do the restraints and everything. It's probably a 3 or 4 person job that 2 people are doing, which is why the queue for Furius Baco is probably taking a while for anyone who is in the main queue line. So I am really glad I've got Fastpass, because without it already I'd be thinking Furius Baco is probably not going to get done today. So moving on from Furius Baco then, the next area of the park is the Far West area, which is the home of the Rapids, the Log Flume, Stampida, Tomahawk, and a favourite of Pleasure Beach experience, the Far West Saloon Show, which will definitely be featuring in this vlog at some point later on. There used to be a show called Bang Bang West on in this area of the park too, so I'll see if that's on, and if I can manage to watch that as well in the time that I've got, then I'll definitely get some of that in the video too, but no promises on that one. But there'll definitely be some clips from the Saloon Show, and definitely be some reviews from the roller coasters, or at least Stampida. I'm not sure if Tomahawk's on Fastpass actually, but there'll definitely be a Stampida review coming up from this area of the park. Next up for me is going to be the Grand Canyon Rapids. This is one of the rides that does open with PortAventura at 10 o'clock when the park opens, and as can be seen from the queue line on the right hand side of the frame, it's already a very busy ride, but I'm not surprised because it is already 20 degrees and it is roasting. So I'm going to take a ride on this using Fastpass. I'm not sure if I'll be allowed to take the GoPro on it. In years gone by, the rules have been sometimes that you can take it on, sometimes that you can't, so I'll ask and see what the answer is. I've had a go on the rapids. I didn't take the GoPro on. I was understandably asked to share with another group with it being busy. As somebody who's worked on a water ride a long time ago, but I still have worked on a water ride, so I understand that keeping the queue down by asking people to share is what you have to do at times. So I ended up sharing with a family who are season pass holders. As it turns out, I had a good chat with them. Didn't get particularly wet, unfortunately. Could have done with getting mildly moist today with how warm it is already, but there we go. I've been on it and it's on to the next ride. Taking a little break from the rides then, just for a minute. One of the best themed areas in this park is definitely the Far West area. You can just tell that when they did this, they went to the maximum effort to properly immerse you into a Far West kind of area, into this theme park. Now I know in European theme parks especially there's always a lot of Far West areas, but I think PortAventura's is one of the best, if not the best. It's currently 11:25, which means that Stampida is opening in 5 minutes. So it's time to go and see if it's any better than it was last year and the years before. Just before going on Stampida, I thought I'd talk about another reason why it's been a good decision getting Fastpass. This is the Fastpass queue, and there is the Stampida station, and there, down there, is the main Stampida queue. So it has been an excellent decision so far to get Fastpass, and well worth the money. So I've taken 2 rides on Stampida, one on the blue side and one on the red side. Because Temple of Fire is on the Fastpass and it's not open today, was able to redeem what would have been the Fastpass on that on Stampida for a second time, enabling me to do the red and the blue sides. Now the red side was rough, wasn't unbearable, but it was rough. There was points of it where you could feel like it was bouncing around the track. The blue side, wow. That is a good advert for why RMC exists. It was like riding on a motorcycle down a cobbled street with while sitting on a brick, basically. It goes past now, it's very loud. Yeah, it was like driving down a cobbled street on a motorbike with a brick as the seat. It was just absolutely vile. And like I say, it is a very, very, very good reason for why RMC exists, because I would love to see RMC come and do something with Stampida. I think it would be epic, even if it was no longer a dueling roller coaster. And they do what they've done with Angkor essentially, but on a smaller scale. That would be epic. The other alternative, and probably cheaper alternative, is just revert back to PTC trains, because I don't think the trains on Stampida help either. They're like sitting on a garden bench, which doesn't help. There's no padding on them. The lap bar is uncomfortable, there's not much foot space, and if you think the Grand Nationals trains are bad and you think the Grand Nationals rough, honestly don't ever go on Stampida, because you will hate it. Tomahawk is also a wooden roller coaster here at PortAventura. It opened at the same time as Stampida in 1997 and was built by Custom Coasters International. Unfortunately, Tomahawk is not included on Fastpass here at PortAventura, which means I won't be going on it today because it does have a very big queue. The unfortunate thing about that is it is actually the best wooden roller coaster in the park. I'm now in the Mexican area of PortAventura, and the first ride that we come to is what we have called in the past green spinny thing, because we're not very good at pronouncing the actual name of this ride, which I'll put on the screen. If you remember the Sombreros ride at Drayton Manor, it is very much like that, but of course with different theming. In keeping with the rest of our vlogs from 2022, it's time for me to talk about food. I was going to say it's time for a food review, but I am not a poet. I went to a place called Cactus Express, which is in the Mexican area of the park. Now, I'm one of those people that likes to snack a lot, and I prefer to snack as I go sometimes rather than having a load of food at once. So I only had something light. I had some spiced fries, as they're called, on the menu, which is basically wedges. And they are very nice. They are a little bit dry, but you get quite a lot in the portion. However, I would hope so at €3.65 a time. I didn't get a drink on this occasion because I'd already got a bottle of Coke, which I'd just bought not so long ago. Overall, it was nice. Something else worth knowing from Cactus Express, you can get quite a few meals. There's like nacho meals, hot dog meals, spiced fry meals. There's quite a few, and wraps, and there's quite a few options really. It's one of the best places to come here for food. It's fairly good value. The meals are like 12, 13 euros a time with a drink. You can also get yards of Estrella down from there as well, which I totally recommend if you're not driving. So yeah, not a bad place to go for food. Somewhere I always tend to go when I'm here, and something I would recommend if you're in this area of the park and thinking, oh, you know what, I could just do with something light as I'm going. So yeah, totally recommend Cactus Express. Earlier on in the video I said about the Far West being probably my favourite area of PortAventura. Well, it has to be said that the Mexican area is done superbly as well. Get nice calming areas like this. But also there's quite a lot of places to just come and sit in this area of the park, in the shade and out of the shade as well. So it's a nice chilled area of the park, even though there is quite a few flat rides around this area of the park. Hurakan Condor is PortAventura's absolutely terrifying intermittent drop tower. I believe it's around 300 foot tall, maybe taller, or maybe a bit lower than that. I'm not 100% sure on that. I do remember when it opened in 2005 though, and there was a lot of hype about it because, well, it was a terrifying attraction at the time, and it still is now. Still attracts a big crowd, still attracts a lot of interest from people who aren't going on, and I am one of those people today. I'm not going on. Fastpass does not include a ride on Hurakan Condor, and it does look like it's got a bit of a big queue, so I'm going to leave it today. If I do come back past it later on and the queue's eased off, then I'll definitely do it, but I'm making my way around the Fastpass rides first, and then anything else after that is a bonus, really. The next ride is going to be El Diablo, one of the original PortAventura rides, opened in 1995 when the park opened. It was built by Aerodynamics and is one of the only European aerodynamics roller coasters. The thing with El Diablo is everyone calls it lift hill the ride or straight track the ride or says it's not very good, and in part they are right, but what we have to remember as enthusiasts is El Diablo is a family coaster and it does that very, very well. In terms of thrills, there isn't a lot there, but it is a good family coaster, I would imagine. When my little boy's tall enough to go in it, I'm sure as a family we will enjoy going on it, but as a thrill seeker and as a coaster enthusiast, I can see why people are like, oh, it's not the best, but it is a family coaster and a lot of families that come here clearly enjoy it, and that is why it's always busy, and that's why when people are on it you can always hear people having fun, enjoying themselves and so on. So I think all in all it is a good fit for this park, even if it's probably not one of the best coasters you'll ever go on. But again, if you come in here as a family, you are really likely to enjoy El Diablo as a good fun family coaster. Anyway, it's on to the B&Ms. Of course, when I say next up it's the B&Ms, I'm not talking about a B&M superstore that sells Rice Krispies for cheap. I am of course talking about two of the most iconic roller coasters in Europe, in Dragon Khan and Shambhala. Dragon Khan opened at PortAventura when the park opened in 1995. It is an iconic B&M sit-down looping roller coaster. I believe at the time of opening it was a record holder for the most inversions on any roller coaster in the world, with 8 inversions. I could be wrong about it being a record holder, but I'm fairly certain it held that for a while, even if it was a European record. Shambhala, 10 years that's been here now. 10 years next month it opened. Can't believe that. Remember when it was new. Yeah, B&M Hypercoaster opened in 2012 as Europe's tallest roller coaster, and is still probably one of the most favoured roller coasters in Europe. This is the main entrance for Dragon Khan, which is where you would queue to go on Dragon Khan without Fastpass. However, the entrance for Fastpass on Dragon Khan is actually nowhere near the main entrance, so I will show you where it is shortly. Before I do show you where the entrance to Dragon Khan is with Fastpass, it's worth noting now that PortAventura does have these little machines where you can buy Fastpass on the go. I'm not entirely sure if you can just do them for one ride at a time. You never used to be able to, however on that board there it does say something about Express Max and attraction, one access per attraction, so maybe it's changed now, I don't know, but if you decide to get Fastpass whilst you're here, that is a possibility. I don't think they have a cap on it. Okay, so I've come away from the main entrance of Dragon Khan now, which is down those steps, and the entrance with Fastpass is down that hill over there. One last mention about the entrance for Fastpass for Dragon Khan for now. There it is, right in front of me. And it doesn't look too busy in the Fastpass queue, so it's time for me to take a front row ride on Dragon Khan and see how it's riding in 2022. I've taken my ride on Dragon Con, front row, and Fastpass has once again proven itself to be very useful today. 5-minute wait, whereas the main queue is looking like it's at least 50 minutes to an hour. So straight on, front row again. In terms of ride experience, now in the last couple of vlogs we've done at this park, we've all sort of said Dragon Con's got quite rough, and I think today it didn't seem quite as bad because I was expecting it to be worse than it was. The bottom of the first drop has got a right jolt to it, which is really strange for a B&M coaster. The interlocking corkscrews are a bit of a head bashing moment, both of them, but otherwise I didn't think it was too bad today. It is still a very, very intense coaster. It has a very good layout. I hope PortAventura do keep it, but I do hope that they go down the Alton Towers and Universal Orlando route with their B&Ms and do some retracking work. Obviously Nemesis at Alton Towers hasn't yet been retracked, but it is being retracked in the next couple of years. The Hulk at Universal was retracked and I believe it made a massive improvement, so hopefully Dragon Con will get the same treatment, and I think I'd rather that than them getting a new ride. I think I'd rather they did that first and go down the new ride route, because I think Dragon Con is such an iconic roller coaster, such a great layout, fits in this park perfectly, and it would be a massive shame if it had to go. So I hope that they do the right thing in terms of keeping it, and I do hope that in doing so that they retrack it and maybe get some new trains, and from there I think it'll be one of Europe's finest roller coasters once again. But right now I wouldn't call it one of them, but it's still a very, very iconic roller coaster. It's very intense, it is a good one to do, and yeah, get Fastpass because it really is worth it. Next up, it's time to do Shambhala. Again, Fastpass has proven to be an excellent purchase because I'm straight on Shambhala and straight to the front row queue. Shambhala on the front row. Now that was excellent. The last two times I've been here, it's been the out of season really. It was November last year, and 2 years before that was also November. So it was a little bit more sluggish. It was suffering with high winds, wasn't as good as it can be, whereas today there's no wind, just blue skies, and wow, I'd forgotten how good that ride can be when it's a clear day. It's a bit like the big one in that respect. When there's no wind, it's at its best, and yeah, front row airtime was just incredible. And I'm going to make a bold statement, and something that I don't think I've said about Shambhala ever before. That's probably the best B&M hypercoaster I've ever been on. Just purely basing it on that ride I've just had. It was absolutely brilliant. Honestly, I want to go on it again. Getting on the front row is going to be impossible, unfortunately, but I really, really wouldn't mind another front row go on that. Angkor opened here at PortAventura in 2014. It is a ride that I probably won't be doing on this trip. You do get absolutely soaked on it, and whilst it is very, very warm here at PortAventura, I just don't fancy getting splash battle wet today. The theming on this ride is absolutely stunning. It always has been. They've looked after it from day one. They put in such a great effort for this, and it fits in so well with Shambhala being in the background too. If you do come here in the main summer season, then yeah, I do recommend giving it a go, because it is a great way to cool down. But in late April, I'm just not fancying it, because whilst it is warm now, it probably will get chilly this evening. Probably should have covered this first really, but even the entrance to the Angkor area is just superbly done. Next up, I'm going to take a ride on the Sesame Street street mission. Me and Mike had a go at this in November, and it was absolutely fantastic. This ride opened at the park in 2019 and was made by Salou Dart Rides, which are an excellent company and make some fantastic dart rides all over the world. Street Mission is such a fantastic ride here at PortAventura. It's just such great use of technology, and I'm sure for families it is so much fun to go on. It was extra to get this on Fastpass, it was an extra €7, but honestly it was worth it. Even though I missed the theming in the main queue line, I was straight on it, straight back off it again now I've been on. And yeah, great fun, and one you really have to do when you come to PortAventura. It's just such a fun ride. Even if you weren't a fan of Sesame Street when you were younger, or you're just not into dart rides, you just got to give it a go. It is really, really good and well worth doing. I'm now back in the far west area of PortAventura, ready to watch the saloon show, but I just thought it's worth mentioning that there's always little shows going on in the far west area on this stage by the train station in this area of the park. It's now time for me to watch the Far West Saloon Show, which is called Can West this year.
Venga, sube, bonito, sube. Hop, 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 hop. Ya, Muchachito, acércate.
Claro, Sheriff, ¿qué tal?
Mira, un azucarillo para ti, encárgate de él.
Uy, pero se te encantó, Sheriff, ¿qué es esto?
Bien, señoras y señores, ladies and gentlemen, madame and monsieur, yo soy William Smith y soy el sheriff de Pennington.
¿William Smith?
Sí.
¿Le puedo llamar William Smith?
¿Qué?
Sí, como el de...
Al oeste de Filadelfia crecía y vivía sin hacer mucho caso.
Ah, como el de...
A ver, Cansino. ¡Oh! ¡Ay, sí que se llama William Smith!
Thank you.
Sí, sí, Pero luego bien que llora cuando le dan el premio, ¿eh? I'm sorry, yo no quería hacerlo, pero que estaba mi mujer ahí.
Que lloro yo, que lloro yo.
Sí.
Te vas a enterar.
¿Cómo? A ver quién llora.
Y ahora sí, fuerte ese aplauso para el ballet de PortAventura. Como James Spawn, joven al despedido.
¡Gracias! ¡Y cuando sigan nuestra voz en directo, Noelia Caro!
The Silver River Flume is now open and understandably has got a very big queue. It is included on my Fastpass for today, however I'm not sure I'm going to go on it. It's now nearly 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm flying home tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I want to get soggy trainers. Another water ride that I'll not be going on, and something that if you've been to PortAventura you'll be very familiar with, is Tatuki Splash. Tatuki Splash is included on Fastpass, but I just don't fancy getting absolutely soaked with only an hour left of the day. However, it is great for watching from an off-ride point of view, so I'll share some shots of it that I got yesterday and some that I'm about to get. Finished today at PortAventura, the park does a parade. This is the first time I've seen one of these at the park since before COVID. is the end of my day here at PortAventura, and it has been excellent. It's been a little bit strange doing a solo vlog. Like I said at the start, it's the first time I've ever done this. I feel like I've done alright with it. Won't know for sure until I sit and watch this video back and of course edit it first. But hopefully I've covered everything in depth at the park. I do think that this is a 2-day park, especially when it's busy. Of course I have been doing a lot of filming, so that does take a lot of time. I think without the filming I probably would have gotten stuff a lot more than I have. That's my own choice. But what I would say is if you are coming to PortAventura in the coming weeks and months, I'd just get Fastpass. Don't worry about what order you're going to do the rides in, just get Fastpass. It will save you so much trouble. That is my top tip for PortAventura. Of course, if you do get it, I'd still arrive here for opening time. I don't have anything else to add in terms of ride reviews and park reviews and stuff like that. I hope that I've covered most of it already. Something that is worth mentioning, because I've been asked about it a lot on socials, is the mask policies here are not being enforced at all. Indoor or outdoor, there's no mask enforcement whatsoever. I don't actually know what the rules are at the park. I didn't see anything when I came in about it, so I'm going to assume there's no rules in the park, but the staff are wearing them. But it's a bit like that at Pleasure Beach still. The staff are wearing them, but there's no enforcement for the guests to wear them, and it seems a little bit like it's been like that here. Also, another thing I was asked is, do PortAventura allow payment with cash? Which they do. It's not all cashless around the park, so that's hopefully helpful as well for anyone that might be coming in the coming weeks. And of course, one last thing, if you have been at the park today and have spoke to me, thank you. I appreciate everyone who's come over and said hello and said that you enjoy the content, so that's always a nice little boost, especially when filming a vlog. That's all from me. Many thanks for watching, and next on the channel it's Walk the Big One. See you then.